plus x over 4 minus x. Okay, so we have to add these fractions. You can only add and subtract things that are alike. Do we have like fractions? No, not as they are, so we're going to have to make them into like fractions. I'm going to invoke the motto, factor first. X squared minus 16 is a difference of squares. That will factor as x plus 4 times x minus 4. Now, x minus 4 and 4 minus x look suspiciously similar, but they are not the same thing. Okay, so we could choose to include both x minus 4 and 4 minus x in our LCD, but that means it wouldn't be the least common denominator. I'm going to factor this. I'm going to factor out the negative 1. So first I'm going to write it in descending order. Negative x plus 4. And then factor out a negative 1. So I have positive x minus 4. And now I can see that x minus 4 is the same, is a factor that's in both of those denominators. Now, from here you have a choice. You can choose to include the negative 1 in your LCD, or you can get rid of the negative 1 by thinking about how it affects the fraction as a whole. Okay. Do you want to include the negative 1 in the LCD, or do you want to get rid of the negative 1 by thinking about how it affects the fraction as a whole? It would be time consuming, yeah. Well, I like to think about, in my opinion, it's a little bit harder to think about right in the beginning, but once you do that and you get rid of the negative 1, your life is easier after that. So if we think about, we have 4 over x plus 4 times x minus 4 plus x over negative 1 times x minus 4. When you have a positive number divided by a negative number, what sign is your answer going to be? Negative. So if you have a positive divided by a negative, your sign of your answer is going to be negative. So basically what we can do is move this negative to the outside of the fraction. So we're going to have plus negative x over x minus 4. So I move the negative to the outside of the fraction, and then plus a negative is the same thing as subtraction. So my problem turns into 4 over x plus 4 times x minus 4 minus x over x minus 4. Okay, so it's a little bit harder to think about in the beginning with that negative there, but once you get rid of it, it actually makes your life a little bit easier. Questions? Okay, now you take it from here. Okay, perform this operation. 4 over x plus 4 times x minus 4 minus x over x minus 4. Do we have like fractions? No. Find the least common denominator, write each fraction with the LCD, and then continue on. Ready? Go. Feel free to confer with your neighbor at any time. My least common denominator has to represent all of the factors. My least common denominator is going to be x plus 4 times x minus 4. The next step is to change each fraction so that it has the LCD. The first fraction already has the LCD. I don't need to do anything to that one. So I don't have to work on that one at all. I just need to work on the other one. So I have x over x minus 4. Leave a little space. Write the denominator that I want. what can I multiply times what I have to get what I want? What's missing? Well, this is missing the x plus 4. So along the top, I'm going to have to distribute the x, and that's going to give me x squared plus 4x. Okay. Now all of my fractions have this LCD, so I can write my LCD there, x plus 4 times x minus 4, and perform the operation. I have 4 from the first fraction minus x squared plus 4x. Okay, and remember, when you have a minus, you have to make sure that you subtract every term. So I put the parentheses around there to remind myself to distribute the minus and subtract every term. Okay, so this will be 4 minus x squared minus 4x over x plus 4 times x minus 4. And I'm going to put that in descending order. Make it look pretty. So negative x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay. Now you do want. We're not going to be able to simplify this one anymore. So this is the answer. Fractions. So we are going to simplify. A complex fraction is a big fraction with little fractions inside of it. Okay, so a complex fraction might look like a squared minus b squared over 4a squared b over a plus b over 16ab squared. So this is a complex fraction because we have a fraction inside the numerator and a fraction inside the denominator. Okay. Now, you actually already know how to do these things. We're just using the order of operations. Notice that we have one fraction on the top, and that's being divided by one fraction on the bottom. So if you have one fraction divided by one fraction, you can rewrite the problem a squared minus b squared over 4a squared b divided by a plus b over 16ab squared. And then you're going to divide fractions by multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, I just wrote that step out. Okay, so if you have one fraction divided by one fraction, you can rewrite the problem as a division problem. And then finish the division problem by multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, so this is like what we did in section 6.2. Okay, so we did this in 6.2. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So the first fraction stays the same, but I'm going to factor a squared minus b squared is a difference of squares. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal 16ab squared over a plus b. Okay, then look and see if there are any factors that you can simplify that are the same in the top and the bottom. Okay, and luckily there are. I've got an a plus b. 4 goes into the top and the bottom. Okay. I am also going to be able to simplify some a's and b's. Okay, but I'm going to write a step out in between here. So I have a minus b times 4ab squared, and it's conventional to write the monomial in the front. So I'll have 4ab squared times a minus b, and on the bottom I just have a squared b.
So But then you'll just have AA on the bottom.
Right, so now this just makes it, cleaned it up a little bit and made it easier for me to see. I've got one A on the top and two A's on the bottom. When I subtract off the A's that cancel, I'm gonna be left with one A on the bottom. And I have two B's on the top and one B on the bottom. When I subtract off the B's that cancel, I'm gonna have one B left on the top. So my final answer is 4B times A minus B all over A. Suppose I have 1 plus 2 over x over 1 minus 2 over x. I can't just multiply by the reciprocal because I don't have one fraction divided by one fraction. So what I'm going to do is work on it and make it one fraction divided by one fraction. So first I'm just going to look at the top. And I'm going to do that operation, 1 plus 2 over x. You can only add and subtract things that are alike. Do we have like fractions? No, so we need to find a common denominator, which in this case is x. Okay. So I'm going to take my 1, which is 1 over 1. I'm going to multiply that times x over x. 2 over x already has the LCD. So this is how I've kind of condensed the notation a little bit. Okay, so I still did 1 over 1. I had to multiply times x over x. And then that's going to give me x, and then plus 2. Okay, now I need to work on the bottom. Okay, so you take care of the bottom. Do this subtraction, 1 minus 2 over x. You don't have like fractions, so you have to find the least common denominator, write each fraction with the LCD, and then do the operation with the like fractions. So my 1, I'm going to multiply that times x over x.